So this is the English language debut from Yorgos Lanthimos, of whose films I know you're a huge fan, Dogtooth and Alps.
Yes, that's right. I was catching up with them just last night.
You were saying you were watching a film the other day and you said this is Lanthimosian.
Is that actually... Because
No,
you've already said skateboardy, which was an interesting new word. What's this new word?
No, it probably isn't the word, Lanthimosian.
Lanthimosian.
Yeah, so anyway, so if you're familiar with Dogtooth and Alps, you will know to some extent what you're going to get from
No one is. Assume no one is.
Okay, so Dogtooth is a film in which children are brought up in a household in which they are told that they cannot go out into the outside world because they're being protected from the outside world. But the question it asks is, if you shield people from the outside world, do you actually do them more harm? Alps is actually impossible to sum up in a sentence. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to try. Okay. In the case of this, it occupies a parallel or near future Euro netherworld in which it is obligatory to be in a partnership, to be in a relationship. We open in the film with Colin Farrell's Dave, who is recently been made single, and he is now going to stay in a hotel where he has 45 days in which to find the perfect partner, somebody who has a similar defining character trait, or he will be turned into an animal of his choice. The hotel is managed by Olivia Colman. Here's a clip.
I understand this discussion is a little unpleasant for you, but it is my duty to prepare you psychologically for all possible outcomes. Now, have you thought of what animal you'd like to be if you end up alone?
Yes, a lobster.
Why a lobster?
Because lobsters live for over 100 years. They're blue-blooded, like aristocrats. And stay fertile all their lives. I also like the sea, very much. I water ski and swim quite well since I was a teenager.
I must congratulate you. The first thing most people think of is a dog, which is why the world is full of dogs. Very few people choose an unusual animal, which is why they are endangered. A lobster is an excellent choice.
So that gives you a sort of a sense of the tone of the film. Again, as I said, if you're familiar with Lanthimos' previous works, you'll know where you are. If you're coming in from the outside, you might think this is just some sort of strange, absurdist, slightly sci-fi comedy. What the film is doing, really, is picking apart ritualized human interaction and asking on one fundamental level what we get from relationships, what we get from love, what it is that society requires from other people's relationships. And all the time that it's in the hotel with this unbelievably complicated ritualized system of interaction, the film is, I think, up there with Yorgos Lanthimos' best work. It has an extraordinary cast. I mean, it's like Ben Whishaw, and I said, Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz and Lea Seydoux and John C. Reilly and Ashley Jensen. I mean, it is absolutely star-studded. The film, however, does lose its way slightly when it gets out into the woods. And out in the woods, there are basically the loners, the loner rebels. There's the loner leader played by Lea Seydoux. There is our narrator played by Rachel Weisz. And it turns out that, in fact, their society has just as many rules about not having relationships, about not being part of a functioning unit. So the whole thing is a sort of often very, very funny. I mean, the moments in it that are laugh out loud funny, but there is an undertone of sort of Nigel Neal-esque satire that has a horrible edge to it, a frightening edge to it. There is a sense of threat going on underneath it. And if you buy into the central conceit, I think for a good hour and a quarter, the movie works. I do think that it loses its way in the woods and in a way that, for example, Dogtooth doesn't. But there's enough in there that I enjoyed because, firstly, it's deadpan and funny. Secondly, it does have that kind of creaky sense that it's talking about something you kind of realise is an ordinary phenomenon just stretched to the most ludicrous ends. And it has that kind of 1984 Brave New World feeling about it. And also, I wasn't put off by the fact that all the characters talk like automatons, talk like people who've had all their emotions stripped out of them. I found that funny. Other people find it annoying.